What up, though? Hola, mi gente. It's your host from the neighborhood and the streets the most, J Hodge with InYourHood.com. And again, what's up with y'all? Y'all thought just because it was the weekend we wasn't gonna plug y'all with information? No, that's not how it works. The weekend is for getting ahead, not falling behind. So make sure you utilize the weekend to plan for what's ahead, for what's coming up this week. And at the same time, make sure you stay updated and make sure you always in the know. Like I said, we don't stop just because of the weekend. That ain't the time to take a break. That's the time to get ahead. So that's what we're doing. But you already know, welcome to Hood Sites, another segment of Hood Sites. And you already know what we're doing. We are giving you the information about things you may know, but more extensively. And disrupting the information that you do not know. Disrupting information that you just don't know. And so, like I always say, start my days off every day, 4:30 in the morning. I do a lot of readings every day. And so, I do a selective choice of readings every day, and I choose one that I feel like is the most pertinent and the most beneficial and the most informative. Now, with that being said, this past week we had a major week in the market. We had a major week economically because data insights were released on everything from jobless claims to the possible reopening of the economy, to increased number of vaccinations, and also to inflation and the rising of prices, and how likely that is, and how bad or how not so bad it's gonna get. And again, that was released by the Federal Reserve, the Federal Open Market Committee, releasing a report about every aspect of the economy that matters. And they had a meeting this past week. Also, Joe Biden had an address that he gave to Congress. I gave my critique on that in previous episodes, but again, if you haven't seen it, go watch it, tune in, because he talked about a plan that he has infrastructure-wise, that if you are not an investor and if you're not invested in the stock market, based on what he says about this plan, it'd be a good time to invest in companies that will be positively impacted and affected. And like I said, the earnings reports. The earnings reports were released and are continuing to be released by the remaining 20%, 15 and 20% of companies that have to still report their earnings for year end 2020 and then also for quarter end 1. And so with that being said, we're going to dive right into the news segment. Today's news segment is titled, "This Nigerian Artist Makes Prosthetic Limbs for Dark Skin Tones." Continuing. Today's prosthetics seem geared toward white and lighter skin tones, if they even look human in the first place. But one Nigerian artist is looking to change that. Continue. John Amanam is a 32-year-old former movie special effects expert who has a passion for sculpting. A native of Nigeria, Amanam became fascinated with prosthetics after a close family member lost one of their limbs in a tragic accident. Prayers to them. A quote from Mr. Amanam. His words. "I became emotional about amputees," Amanam said to Reuters. "They had this feeling of discomfort whenever they were around other people. I saw it as a challenge. If I could give back or solve this need, it would go a long way to ease that emotional trauma and loss of confidence." I just want them to feel at home and be whole aesthetically. Continue. As a result, Aminam says that his customers feel a sense of relief and gratitude. The Nigerian artist started making prosthetic fingers, hands, arms, legs, and ears in 2017. He said that, as a general rule, it can be a few months to develop a proper prosthetic to suit the customer's needs. And despite the fact that he had no formal training to make prosthetics, he's found himself in the midst of a quickly booming industry in the Nigerian market. Continue. When he's not changing people's lives for the better, Aminam is running the Immortal Gallery, where he shares his true passion, his sculptures. Continuing. But thanks to the success of these prosthetics, the Nigerian artist has also created Immortal Cosmetic Art as an offshoot. And he says that he wants other black artists in Africa to be inspired by his story. Continuing. And this is a quote by Mr. Aminam and his words. You rarely find people with black skin prosthetics. He said, I want this need to be met within Africa. I want to reach out to blacks all over the world as well by making this process accessible at an affordable rate. I feel like it's important to read again. Mr. Aminam said, you rarely find people with black skin prosthetics, he said. I want this need to be met within Africa. I want to reach out to blacks all over the world as well by making this process accessible at an affordable rate. End of article. So what did we learn? Again, cultural power, cultural identity, cultural issues, challenges, constraints, and then cultural solutions. This embodies everything, every single thing that I talk about at the end of every news segment. There's a message and there's a meaning to every news segment that I give. Again, he's a Nigerian guy, African man just like the rest of us, African descendant just like the rest of us. And within his culture, he identified challenge and constraint, but it was more close to home. It was within his family bounds. So he said, you know what? Instead of looking at it as a problem or something that is beyond his control, let me see if I can solve the problem. Let me come up with a cultural creative solution, because his cultural values, principles, and morals led him to a creative solution for his people. Literally his people. So, with that being said, he flexed his cultural power. If I'm going to make a prosthetic, it's going to be a cultural prosthetic that embodies our culture, which is our skin tone. There's power in our skin tone, and so he knew there would be power in having a prosthetic with that skin tone. So with that being said, he did it. And not only that, he wants to make a global system among all black people. He wants black people globally. So now we're talking about the opposite, not from the United States to Africa, from Africa to the United States and back. Globalism. Because again, our culture is a global one. We are a global people. And he understands that. So that cultural education and knowledge mixed with the cultural challenges, issues, and constraints, mixed with the time and opportunities to come up with a cultural creative solution and to flex cultural power. Hooray, hooray. And again, his name is John, John, Aminam, Amanam. And his intent is to establish a global network with black people all over the world, so prosthetics can be available for us and made from our culture and provided to our people. Don't get no better than that. So like I always say, www.inyourhood.com. Sign up for a free account on the website. Explore every aspect of In Your Hood. We have content, a television series, and material that's readily available 24/7 for you to access, read, watch, comment, subscribe. J Hodge is our YouTube channel for In Your Hood. J space HAJJ at His Excellency _ J.Hodge on Instagram, where we do a segments over there separate from these new segments. A series that we call You Gotta Peep It, just addressing every black aspect of the black community, locally and globally. And then, of course, the new content that's coming 10 toes down in your stomach grounds on our YouTube channel. Other than that, explore every aspect of In Your Hood. We do have black businesses listed on the website, and we forever looking for more. The more businesses we have, the more episodes we have, and the more seasons of our television show we produce. It don't stop. So like I said, www.inyourhood.com. Sign up for a free account. And like I always say, I'm going to get on y'all tomorrow.